truth is, most men don't know how to heal after heartbreak. They either numb the pain or chase the shadow of the one who left, and in doing so, they forget the one person they truly need to face themselves. That's why today, I'll share 6 steps to help you recover. Stay until the end, because the last one might wake you up. And before we begin, please support this channel with a quick subscribe. It helps me keep making videos that matter. After heartbreak, your body feels as heavy as your thoughts. Getting out of bed seems pointless. Yet as a therapist, I can tell you when the body shuts down, the mind follows deeper into despair. That is why the very first step to healing is movement. Neuroscience shows us something important. Physical exercise releases endorphins and serotonin, the chemicals that stabilize mood and calm stress. When a relationship ends, those chemicals crash. That is why you feel restless, anxious, even unable to sleep. Without movement, your nervous system has no way to reset, and so the longing for her grows stronger like an addiction, with no outlet. Many of the men I work with say the same words. I'll start working out once I feel better. But here's the paradox. Healing doesn't come before movement. It comes because of movement. Exercise is not about sculpting your body. It's about signaling to your brain that life is still happening. In therapy, we call this behavioral activation. Simply put, taking action first and allowing your emotions to catch up. Let me give you an example. Michael, a 32-year-old teacher, came to me after his divorce. He spent weeks lying in bed, scrolling through his ex-wife's photos at night, telling himself he was too broken to move. Together, we agreed on one small step, 10 minutes of walking each morning before work. At first, he resisted, saying it felt useless. But within 2 weeks, he admitted he was sleeping better, feeling calmer, and most importantly, realizing that he could influence his own recovery. So, here's your micro action tomorrow. Don't plan for the gym. Plan for 5 minutes. Step outside. Breathe. Feel the rhythm of your body moving again. You are not just stretching your muscles, you are retraining your nervous system to remember safety, rhythm, and life. The benefit is simple yet powerful. Anxiety decreases, sleep improves, and your mind becomes clearer. But more than that, you take back control. Heartbreak leaves men feeling powerless, abandoned. Each step you take is proof that you are not entirely broken. You are still capable of moving forward. Michael later told me, "The walks didn't fix everything, but they reminded me I wasn't beyond repair." That reminder is priceless. And once your body remembers movement, you'll be ready for something deeper. Because the next step is not about what you do alone, it's about who you allow near you and how the right connections can either reopen wounds or help them heal. After a breakup, loneliness whispers louder than anything else. Many men rush to fill that silence with rebound flings, endless nights at the bar, or surrounding themselves with noise. But here's what psychology shows us. Not every connection heals. Some connections numb, and others reopen the wound. In my practice, I often see men mistake distraction for healing. Neuroscience explains why, when you seek constant company, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It feels soothing for a while, but if the connection is shallow, your nervous system soon realizes the emptiness and the loneliness returns stronger. That's why rebound relationships rarely work. They bypass the pain instead of integrating it. Let me tell you about Robert, a 41-year-old sales manager who came to me after a bitter breakup. He filled every evening with friends, drinks, and casual encounters. On the surface, he looked fine. But when he sat in my office, he admitted, "The moment I'm alone, it feels like the wound is tearing open again." What he hadn't realized was that his constant socializing had become another form of avoidance. He was surrounded by people, but not supported. So here's your micro action. Don't cut yourself off from the world, but choose carefully who you spend time with. Reach out to one person you trust, someone who listens more than they speak, who allows you to sit in silence without trying to fix you. This kind of connection, it doesn't erase the pain, but it gives your nervous system a safe container to process it. Healing isn't about how many people are around you. It's about whether you feel seen in their presence. The benefit of selective connection is profound. It lowers the body's stress response, calms the overactive amygdala, and reminds your psyche that you are not alone in carrying the weight. In Jung's language, it helps you meet the anima within the part of you that longs for intimacy and safety, without projecting it blindly onto the next woman who appears. Robert eventually cut down the noise and leaned on two close friends instead. He told me, "For the first time, I didn't feel the need to pretend I was okay. And that gave me space to actually start being okay." And this is the essence of step 2. Don't mistake any company for the right company. Choose those who can hold your silence with you. Because once you've reclaimed the ground through movement and found safe connection through trust, the next challenge is the routines that still tie you to her, the habits that keep her ghost alive in your daily life. That's where we go next. One of the hardest parts after a breakup isn't just the absence of her, it's the routines that still carry her ghost. Drinking coffee at the same corner cafe, listening to the playlist you shared, driving the road you always took together. These habits seem harmless, but in psychology, we call them conditioned triggers. They reignite memory and keep the wound raw. In my sessions, I often explain it this way. Your brain is a pattern-making machine. Each shared habit built a neural pathway tied to reward. When she's gone, the pathway remains, but without the reward. That gap is what makes ordinary moments ache so sharply. It's not the coffee itself that hurts, it's the echo of her in the cup. I once worked with Aaron, a 27-year-old medical student. Every night he cooked spaghetti, the same dinner he and his ex used to make together in their tiny apartment. He told me, "It's the only way I feel close to her." But in reality, the ritual kept him from moving forward. His nervous system was rehearsing attachment instead of releasing it. So, here's your micro action. Identify one habit tied strongly to her and replace it with something new. If you always texted her goodnight, write in a journal instead. If you always listened to your song, create a fresh playlist that belongs only to you. It's not about erasing the memory, it's about creating a new association so your brain learns to seek comfort in places that don't keep reopening the wound. The benefit of substitution is twofold. First, it rewires your neural pathways, teaching your brain to expect new forms of reward. Second, it restores a sense of autonomy. You stop being haunted by her presence in daily life and start building a rhythm that belongs to you alone. Aaron eventually replaced spaghetti nights with a new ritual, joining a cooking class once a week. He admitted, "At first it felt like betrayal, but then I realized I was reclaiming something for myself." That shift turned his kitchen from a shrine of loss into a space of growth. This is the essence of step 3. Don't let routines imprison you in the past. Redirect them, and you begin to see that life can hold new patterns, patterns that heal instead of hurt. If you're still with me at this point, it probably means this speaks to you. Take a second and type a simple yes in the comments. It helps me know these videos are reaching the men who need them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time. Let's keep walking this path together. And once you start reshaping the habits of your daily life, you'll be ready for a deeper challenge, cutting the invisible ties that technology creates. Because step 4 is about confronting the most relentless trigger of all her digital presence. There is a ghost that haunts almost every man after heartbreak. Not in the streets, not in his home, but glowing quietly in the palm of his hand. Her Instagram posts her WhatsApp status, the green light beside her name at 2 a.m. All of it keeps the wound raw. In therapy, I often say every time you check her profile, you are not reconnecting with her. You are reopening the cut and sprinkling salt inside. Neuroscience makes the pattern clear. Each time you scroll through her feed, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that fuels gambling addictions. It's not even the photo itself that hooks you. It's the anticipation. Will she have posted something new? That suspense delivers a surge. But what follows is the crash. Seeing her smiling without you, or worse, with someone else. This cycle wires your nervous system into craving the very thing that prolongs your suffering. In psychology, we call this a maladaptive loop. Your mind seeks relief, but the action you choose keeps deepening the pain. Let me tell you about Marcus, a 36-year-old graphic designer who sat across from me, exhausted and ashamed. He admitted, "I check her Instagram 10, maybe 15 times a day. I know it ruins me, but I can't stop." His nights were restless. His work suffered. His confidence crumbled. What was really happening? Each digital cue, her name, her photo, the memories attached acted like a trigger hijacking his nervous system. The healing only began, not when he understood the science, but when he was willing to take the first decisive step. Here's your micro-action block: mute or unfollow her completely. Don't dress it up as being strong. Call it what it truly is, protecting your recovery. In behavioral therapy, this is known as stimulus control, removing the triggers from your environment so your nervous system can finally settle. It is not cruelty. It is medicine. The benefits appear faster than most men expect. Within a few days, the constant anticipation fades. Your mood stabilizes. You reclaim energy that was leaking into obsession. Instead of being pulled into the endless cycle of wondering, what is she doing? Who is she with? Your attention shifts back to yourself. Without the ghost of her digital presence whispering in your ear, the silence that once felt unbearable begins to heal you. Marcus resisted at first. The first week was brutal. He described it as withdrawal, the same ache an addict feels without his fix. But then one morning, he realized something small yet powerful. He had gone 2 days without checking. And later, 2 weeks. He told me. The silence of her profile gave me back the silence of my mind. That was the proof he was no longer chained to a phantom. This is the essence of step 4. To heal, you must confront the ghost in the screen. By breaking free from the digital tether, you release your nervous system from captivity. And once the constant noise of her online shadow fades, you're ready for something more constructive, learning to ground yourself each morning in a practice that creates meaning, clarity, and strength from within. That is where step 5 takes us. Every morning after heartbreak can feel like waking into a nightmare that never ends. The bed feels colder, the silence heavier, and your mind begins replaying yesterday's pain before you've even had coffee. This is why the mornings are crucial. Psychology shows us that the first hour of the day sets the tone for the nervous system. If you begin in despair, the rest of the day bends toward despair. But if you anchor yourself with clarity, the day opens to healing. One of the simplest, yet most powerful tools I give to men in this stage is morning journaling. Not long essays, not poetry, just 3 truths written each day. Why 3? Because it's enough to pierce the fog, but not so much that you avoid it. These truths act as a mirror showing you where you actually stand. Neuroscience confirms the power of this practice. When you put emotions into words, activity in the amygdala, the fear and pain center of the brain decreases. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and perspective, lights up. In other words, writing your truth literally shifts your brain from chaos to clarity. I once counseled Jonathan, a 38-year-old father of 2. His wife had left suddenly and mornings were the worst. He told me I opened my eyes and it feels like the world already beat me. I asked him to try writing 3 simple truths each morning before looking at his phone. On the first day, his page read, "I feel abandoned." I am angry. I don't know how to be both father and broken man. He cried as he wrote, but by the third week, the tone began to change. His truths shifted to, I am hurting, but I'm still a father. I am tired, but I showed up at work. I don't know the future, but I am here today. Here's your micro action tomorrow morning. Before anything else, take a notebook and write 3 sentences that begin with, I feel. Don't censor, don't judge, don't polish. If you feel worthless, write it. If you feel rage, write it. If you feel nothing right, I feel empty. This practice is not about fixing, it's about honesty. And honesty is what begins to free you. The benefit of this step is profound. By naming your inner reality, you no longer wrestle blindly with shadows. You begin to see patterns, which feelings recur, which ones soften over time, which truths give birth to strength. Journaling also builds evidence you can look back and realize, I am not stuck. I am moving even if slowly. This recognition feeds resilience. Jonathan once told me, my journal became the one place I didn't have to perform. It was the only place I could be real. That space of honesty gave him the courage to show up more authentically in his life. He wasn't healed overnight, but he was no longer hiding from himself. This is the essence of step 5. Create a morning mirror that reflects not who you think you should be, but who you are right now. Because when you face your truth daily, you begin to reclaim authorship of your healing. And once you have faced yourself with honesty, you are ready for the final step, the one most men never imagine, a practice so unusual, it often sparks resistance. But it is also the one that can bring the deepest release. That is where step 6 takes us. By the time men arrive at this step, they've already reclaimed their ground through movement, chosen the right company, reshaped their habits, cut the digital ties, and faced themselves each morning. Yet for many, something still lingers, a knot of words unsaid, anger, unspoken grief that never found a voice. Healing slows when emotions remain trapped in silence. This is why the final step is not about running faster into the future, but about giving voice to what the heart still carries. In therapy, I often introduce a technique called the empty chair. It comes from Gestalt psychology, and though it may sound unusual, its impact is profound. Here's how it works. You place an empty chair in front of you and imagine her sitting there. You speak the words you never had the chance or the courage to say. You let yourself cry, rage, whisper, or plead. The goal is not to win her back, nor to punish her. The goal is to free the part of you that's still frozen in unfinished conversation. Why does this matter? Neuroscience offers an explanation. When you imagine the person in front of you and verbalize your thoughts, your brain activates the same neural circuits as if she were truly there. This allows the emotional memory to be processed and integrated, instead of remaining stuck in the limbic system. In simple terms, you give your nervous system closure even if she never returns. I recall Samuel, a 45-year-old lawyer who carried a decade of resentment after his wife's betrayal. He had remarried, built a new life, yet still felt haunted by the words he never spoke. When I guided him through the empty chair exercise, he shouted he wept, and then he sat in silence. Later he whispered, I didn't know how heavy it was until I put it down. For the first time in years, he slept through the night without dreams of her. Here's your micro action tonight. Choose a quiet space. Place a chair in front of you, breathe deeply, and picture her there. Speak 3 things. What hurt you most, what you needed that you never received, and what you choose to release now? Don't worry about eloquence. Don't worry if your voice breaks. The act itself is the medicine. The benefits are not subtle. Men who allow themselves this ritual often report a shift, a sense of lightness, a reduction in obsessive thoughts, even a surprising compassion for themselves. It's not about forgiving her if you're not ready. It's about acknowledging your own voice, your own right to closure. Samuel later told me, "That chair was the first time I felt like my story had an ending, and that is what step 6 offers you. Not a perfect conclusion, but a release. This is the essence of the journey. Heartbreak invites you not only to suffer, but to transform. Each step movement connection, substitution detox, journaling, and finally, the empty chair, brings you closer to wholeness. You began this path feeling broken, but here's the truth. You were never broken, only waiting to rediscover your strength." Heartbreak often feels like the end of a story. It robs you of sleep appetite and the sense of who you are. But when you've walked through these 6 steps, something begins to shift. You realize the pain was never meant to be a prison. It was a passage. What feels like ruin becomes the ground of renewal. As a therapist, I've seen this truth repeat itself. A man comes to me hollowed out, certain that he will never recover, convinced that she was the only reason for his joy. Yet, through moving his body, choosing wisely, who surrounds him, reshaping his habits, breaking digital ties, journaling his truths, and finally giving voice to what remained unspoken, he discovers something more profound than comfort. He discovers himself. Carl Jung once wrote that the greatest privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Heartbreak, as devastating as it is, can serve this privilege. It tears away illusions, the idea that your worth depends on her attention, that your peace comes only through her presence, that your future was tied entirely to one story. In the ashes of those illusions, the authentic self waits. The man who is not defined by loss, but by the courage to face it. Think about what has already happened in you. If you've followed these steps, you've proven to yourself that you can choose action even when you feel powerless. You've learned that healing is not a gift someone gives you. It is a discipline you create. And you've discovered that even the darkest mornings can hold light when you dare to be honest. The payoff is not that you forget her. The payoff is that you stop forgetting yourself. The love you lost no longer defines the man you are. Instead, the man you are becomes defined by the strength, honesty, and compassion you've cultivated through the loss. This is what transformation feels like, not sudden fireworks, but the steady flame of selfhood reignited. I've watched countless men reach this point and realize something startling. What they thought was the end was, in fact, the beginning. Their careers grew clearer, their friendships deepened, their capacity to love matured. The heartbreak had not broken them. It had refined them. So here is what I want you to remember. Healing doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. Every tear, every restless night, every journal page, every moment of silence in front of that empty chair has been part of a sacred process. You are not weaker for what you've endured. You are stronger because of it. And if you doubt me, look at yourself now. You've listened. You've reflected. You've stayed through this journey. That in itself is proof you are already healing. So take this final truth with you. You are not too late. This is where it begins. If this helped you, drop a comment and let me know which step spoke to you most. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next video. Thank you for watching. Your time means a lot. Remember, healing is your journey, and you're not walking it alone.